What's up, everyone, and welcome to ClearTalk. So, in our big video here, the very first video of 2026, we got to go ahead and talk about it. We got to go ahead and talk about the elephant in the room, and that is Venezuela, Maduro, and his wife being captured. I might say kidnapped, from Venezuela by the U.S. military and CIA special ops, to be brought back to the United States and be tried. And I've already wanted to talk about this, and but I held off because I wanted to get a better understanding of what was going on. I wanted to see kind of where the pieces fell a little bit, and also understand the history a little bit more on Venezuela when it comes to Maduro, Chavez, the last 20, 30 years or so. And like why some people are like perfectly okay with what has happened, regardless of how it happened, because they're happy that he's no longer in power, at least somewhat. But then also why people are so upset about it, regardless of how it happened. And either way, how it happens does matter. And we're going to talk about that as well, which is my issue, is how it happened. So yeah, we're going to talk about all this and give my thoughts on the whole thing. So thank you very much for joining me here on ClearTalk. Welcome. It's a new year, 2026. If you are new here, thank you for joining. Welcome to ClearTalk. If you'd like to check out more videos from the channel, please consider doing so. Consider subscribing, like, share, comment, all that good stuff to help get videos to more people. If you'd like to check out more videos from the channel, there's JMDPLAY there, JMD puzzling. If you check those out, check videos out there. If you like what you see, consider subscribing to those as well. That would be amazing, and help out those channels as well. If you'd like to give any kind of support, there's Patreon there. $3 a month will help you help support any of the channels you would like, to help grow those channels, to help grow Patreon, to help grow the JMD Nation at large. Or you can give a donation there. Any way you want to contribute is very much appreciated. And I thank you very, very, very much. And if you're returning, you are freaking amazing. You are the shit. Welcome back. Keep coming back, because you are what helps to grow JMD Nation. You are a part of JMD Nation. And I will tell you every time, you're freaking amazing. You were freaking amazing last year. You're freaking amazing this year. And yes, thank you very much. So, Venezuela. All right. So yes, what happened a couple of days ago is that the U.S. made an operation, dealing with the naval airstrikes, CIA special ops. I think it was kind of a team very much similar to the team that went in and took out Osama bin Laden years ago. Very much similar team that went in. We struck multiple locations throughout Venezuela, military installations. I think even an airport, maybe a shipping yard. There's multiple locations. I correct me on that. I don't take my word for all those locations, but multiple locations that were struck. And while that was going on, we had a special ops team basically going in to the compound where Maduro and his wife resided, was sleeping, and we took them, gathered them up. Trump claims that they knew we were coming, and that he was trying to escape, but we got him anyway. I don't know how much of that is true, but nevertheless, because I feel like the whole, and I feel like it was kind of point like that. Like, it sounds better if they knew we were coming, but yet we still got them, than they didn't know we were coming. I don't know how that argument really. I mean, us being sneaky about it may be even better and more impressive than us getting him anyways. Because he knew, I don't know. Like they couldn't stop us, even though they knew, kind of thing. I think is where they were going with that. Either way, um, we brought them. They are now in New York. They had an arraignment yesterday, and of course, he pled not guilty. I haven't looked into all the details after that, as far as like when further stuff is going to go, but I mostly wanted to just talk about what happened and what led up to that we know, and how the responses from it, my thoughts on it. So that's what we're going to talk about. As we know, I've talked about it for months. All the events that were leading up to this, from the initial attacks on boats months ago, where the argument then was, "Oh, this is drug boats, and it's fentanyl, and it's they're bringing all these drugs into the U.S. Each boat is saving 25,000 lives." And when I did the math on that, it's like, okay, well, that adds up to like 500 something thousand people a year that we're talking about. When we know that at peak, we've had 120,000 die from overdoses. Last year it was only like 80,000. So that's not mathing. And then to say that all the drugs are coming from Venezuela, fentanyl and everything, because that's all drugs. That's not just, certain drugs. We also know from U.S. intelligence that fentanyl does not come from Venezuela. Cocaine does, but most of the cocaine from Venezuela goes to Caribbean and into Europe, not the U.S. Only around 10% or so actually comes to the U.S., probably through different means than Venezuela. Most of the cocaine that comes to the U.S. is through Colombia, and a few other areas. But even so, even cocaine, which I think is maybe our number 2 drug, still only does not like the most of the drugs overdoses in the United States is fentanyl, and that comes through Mexico, where it's manufactured or put together from chemicals from China. We know this. The fentanyl comes from China, gets to Mexico, it's mixed with shit, and then comes across the Mexican border to the United States, mostly by Americans. So that whole argument was already kind of like, yeah, that's not happening. But we're blowing up boats anyways. And even if, even if all of that was true, still, the operation of just blowing up the boats, we've talked about this before, didn't make sense. Why not seize the boats? Why not seize the people? Why not seize the drugs and have all this evidence to help further the argument for why you are making this aggression? It would make sense. You say you have evidence, but that would help because you're not presenting any evidence. You're just saying, look, there's barrels. They're full of powder. We blew them up. You got to know that. We're telling you that. Just believe us. But you're not actually showing anything. So that was already an operational mishap, an operational problem, especially for the majority of the United States. Yes, some people just believe Trump and his administration no matter what. They don't care the details. They don't try to look up and understand. They just, oh, he says it, it must be true. But for the rest of us that, know how to use our brains, we're like, yeah, that doesn't muster. That doesn't make sense. That math's not mathing. But they've continued to do it. Matter of fact, they just, I think, blew up 2 or 3 ships within the past week or 2. More. Because they don't care. Although they didn't have a problem seizing that big tanker boat that had oil on it, That one wasn't a problem to seize. That one we did operationally, like arguably more legal by seizing the boat. But then, of course, we took the oil, so that's kind of wishy washy. And that's the thing, though, isn't it? That's the thing, though, isn't it? We keep questioning and bringing up the concern about what is this really about. Because first it was fentanyl. Now we clearly have argued that we know it's not fentanyl, so it must be like cocaine or something. Okay, yes, drugs is cocaine, or but then also then it was like, oh, but we just need to take them out of power. We need to liberate the Venezuelan people because they've been under strict dictatorship for so long, and they want him gone. All the people in Venezuela just hate him, and so we need to liberate them. But then when we actually supposedly liberated them and captured Maduro, and Trump gets up there to make his spiel about what happened and why we did it, he seems to say oil over and over and over again. It's like, what? Wait a minute. I thought it wasn't about oil. But yeah, he says oil more times than he did anything else. And making it perfectly clear over and over again that that's what this was about. And then you have media people who are like, he needs to be more clear, He said this and then he said that, and we've been questioning all along, and now he's talking about oil. Like, he needs to be more clear. He needs to be clear to the public about what he's actually, why we're doing this, I don't know. I hate to tell you, but I think he was pretty fucking clear the other day. Because he said oil more than he did anything else. Over and over and over and over again. We were going to let oil companies go in, fix the billions of dollars, fix the infrastructure, and drill the hell out of Venezuela to make the country rich. And while some people thought, well, he means Venezuela rich. Did he? Because I've made an argument before when it comes to the oil drilling. The United States drills, of course, we know most of our drilling is the light oil, which most of our manufacturers do not actually process. We process more of the dark, heavy crude oil, which, guess where that comes from? Venezuela. And that we are, the sector of the population that is so drill, baby, drill, because they think that lowers our gas prices, although that's not how that works at all, has pushed our politicians to allow for oil companies to drill the fuck out of the United States, making us the largest producer in the world now for for the past probably 5 years or so or more. To the point that I think that we are over drilling substantially, and I'm fairly certain. I made this argument that we are going to overproduce. We're going to overproduce our ground. What our ground produces naturally, I think we're going to overproduce it. To the point that at some point, very quickly, we're not going to be able to drill anymore here. We're going to suck ourselves dry. And we need a backup. We need a reason, for one, potentially to slow the fuck down, and a good excuse to sell to the people why we slowed down. And I think that excuse is Venezuela. Because for starters, we can produce more of that oil here. Because that's what most of our manufacturers actually produce. And that's what they're set up to produce. And we're going to allow companies to go in, extract like crazy without the Venezuelan people's agreement, or whether we care or not. The companies will make billions, and those that allowed them will make billions. This is all about CEOs and corporations making billions and billions of dollars. This is not about liberating the Venezuelan people. It's not about, getting rid of a dictator Although it does give an excuse for it to say, hey, all you Venezuelans that live here, now you can go back. Because it was looking kind of ugly there for a second while we were forcing Venezuelans to go back. Now we have an excuse to be like, oh, see, now we don't even have to force you. I mean, it's so good there, and we made it so much better for you. You know, the leader that you hate so much, and the reason why you came here, although you came here because they sent you here because you're from insane asylums and prisons and criminals, but yet we love you enough to liberate you so that you can go back, because we know you actually came here because you didn't like Maduro and you were under such, oppression. Like, I don't know, like, it's like, okay, or were they under oppression, or are they criminals, or like you're zigzagging around on why Venezuelans are here in the United States and what they're really about. Not making a lot of sense there. Go figure. And that helps out a lot of the people in the administration that are like, we need Americans to be more white. So I guess it's a two birds, one stone kind of scenario for some. But that's what seems is all about, is the oil. And I've said that already multiple times, over and over again, that this was not about drugs. This is not about the people. This is about making money. This is about enriching in the oil companies and taking resources. Because not only is Venezuela rich in oil, but they're also very rich in metals and stuff like that as well. And that's just like a cherry on top for other corporations extracting mining operations in Venezuela. And on top of all that, then Trump states, on top of all of that, if that wasn't enough, Trump states that we are going to run Venezuela. This is a man who ran on America First, who ran on no wars, no intervention. And yet all he has done since he's gotten in office is create chaos with our allies, try to start arguments and issues through tariffs with our allies and other countries, start wars with Venezuela, try to take on Canada, try to take on Greenland, try to take on Mexico, try to take on Iran, try to take we are done nothing but pressure campaigns, and aggression. Now we're pulling the Israel playbook and trying to just straight up occupy and control another country or another group of people. We have flipped it on itself. We have this administration trying to take all kinds of stuff from American people. Damaging our health care, damaging our educational systems, damaging, all the agencies and programs and stuff that help to assist American people across the United States, hurting the economy along the way, saving other countries like Argentina with bailouts, throwing money at other countries like Israel for them to commit a genocide. And now we want to take over another country to extract their resources and run it. I've said it over and over again. 2026, new year, everything's the same. Everything's the same, and it doesn't look like it's getting any better. We're just adding to the bucket of chaos, to the holy fuck pile of things that this administration is willing to do. And now we're trying to run another country. And there again, the big question is how the fuck are we going to do that? When, yes, you did remove the president, but his whole administration is still there. The vice president is still in control. Military is still there. People in place. His power is still there. You haven't ended that. You haven't stopped that. All of that structure is still in place. You claim that you are talking with said structure and that they are willing to work with you and aid in the transformation, but yet what we keep hearing out of them is disapproval and demanding that their president be sent back. So, again, math is not mathing. Things are not adding up. There seems to be this just bullish nature of, well, they're going to do what we say or else. We're going to say it and they're just going to accept it or else. To the point that Trump's threatening the vice president that if she doesn't get on board, then the same thing will happen to her, if not worse, whatever that means. He's threatened Colombia now on the same actions. He's even threatened Mexico, saying that they need to get their shit together or something could happen there. And then, crazy enough, even Cuba also is being threatened. But crazy enough, even Greenland is being thrown back in the mix. I think that we are in for a very wild year. If last year was not wild enough for you, I think 2026 is going to be even crazier. I think it's going to be even crazier foreign and domestic, all around. And when one thing gets out of hand for the administration, they're going to create another problem to try to get you off of that thing. And it's just going to be a complete snowball effect from one thing to the other, which is what they've been doing all along. They fuck up one thing, and that starts to look bad, so they go, hey, let's fuck up over here. And when that starts to go bad, hey, let's fuck up over here. I understand that Maduro, there's a question around the things that he was doing as a president to the country, that he was hurting their economy, potentially going after political opponents to try to stay in power. I get that. Dictator-like actions. Not much different from several other leaders around the world. Even the one that we have right now that seems to be playing around in that area, at the very least. But that doesn't mean that you have the right to go in, attack the country, and basically kidnap their leader. You are opening up the gates to, you're basically signaling to everybody in the world, this is what the United States can do. And this is what we're willing to do and get away with if we want to. If you do not agree or you don't like what our president asks of you, if you do not agree, if you do not comply, if you do not go along with, if you don't make him happy, because that was his words, they need to make me happy. Then this is what could potentially happen to you. And I think that's a dangerous thing. Especially when we then turn around and threaten all these other countries. We're even revamping an airport base, an air base in like the Indonesia area or whatever, somewhere over there, that was used back in World War II for potential future operations that may be needed against China. They've been working on that for a few months now, secretly. We just found that out a few days ago. You are basically threatening the entire world on the operations and what the United States is capable of and where we're willing to go. Where this administration is willing to go. The might makes right. And that is a very dangerous and scary thing. You've basically put the entire world on alert. And I know that, like, that is the mentality of a lot of Americans, that, well, we want everybody to be scared of us. That will make us safe. That's how we are safe, is by making everybody scared of us. Even our allies, they need to be scared of us. They don't need to think that they can just get over on us. They don't need to think that we were just going to do anything for them, or that, they're safe, or that we could be, taken advantage of by them. We need them to know that they are just as much, they could get it just as fast and easy as anybody else could. Because we are the mighty USA. Big and bad. The leaders of the free world. Do you want to be the king, the master, the bully, the big and bad wolf of the world? The kinds of things that we teach or have previously tried to teach our kids not to be like. I understand, again, like I said, the sentiment to take someone like Maduro out of power. But the way we've went about it is arguably illegal. And I don't even know how a trial against him is going to work or whether it will work. The indictment shows drugs, cocaine, fentanyl is not listed in the indictment, not once. And then machine weaponry, machine style weapons and other weapons, destructive weapons. Like, you're not even really trying with that. You're trying to argue that he's a criminal because he has weapons. They're a sovereign nation. Of course they have weapons. And that those weapons were potentially going to be processed towards Americans. Never to mind the fact that we had 15,000 troops off the coastlines of Venezuela, like in an act that looks very much like pressure campaign. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think he's going to do? You think he's just going to sit there twiddling his thumbs? Think he's going to just sit there and with like paper ball cannons or something? Slingshots? A bat? It seems so just silly. And then of course the way we did it, where even the UN is questioning its legality, and a lot of other nations, even our allies, are questioning the legalities around it. Even if they support Maduro being taken out of power and the capturing of him, still the way that we went about it and whether that's going to hold up in court, that could very much damage the whole argument. So even if you wanted him out of power, and I completely understand the sentiment of wanting him out of power, you needed a legitimate legal way of getting him that would actually hold up in court. And the way we did it, I'm not so sure is going to hold up. Maybe it does. But what if it doesn't? And then, like I said, you didn't even get him out of power. His people are still in power. And from all that we've seen, all you've actually done with the people of Venezuela is upset them. A lot of people out in the streets protesting against, asking for their leader to be brought back. Because Crazy enough, a lot of people in Venezuela actually support him. There might be some that don't support them, but out of fear of what might happen to them, they're certainly not celebrating. Now, people in the United States, people in other countries, Venezuelans, they're celebrating. A lot of them are celebrating. A lot of them are happy that he's out of power because that's what they've been wanting for years, decades now. Or, well, Maduro, a decade. And they're happy. Although some of them still are not quite sure about how it went down and don't think it was actually the best way for it to go down. They're still happy that he's gone. But it would be no different from if some other country came and did an operation in the United States and took Trump captive. I would be happy as fuck. But at the same time, I would be like, but that was some fucked up shit. You shouldn't have done that. You don't drop missiles on our land, and you don't come in and just kidnap our leader. Like, I think it's funny that he got captured, or of course, just speaking figuratively. But it still wouldn't be cool. The operation itself wouldn't be cool, even if I would be happy that he was no longer in power. And even potentially happy that he might face criminal charges. So it just, none of it is adding up the way it needs to add up. It looks bad. Like I said, even if you support the fact that Maduro is out of power, and I get it, I understand. The way it went about matters. And that's what a lot of people are upset about. That's what a lot of people in the United States are upset about. And the fact that it was not gone through congressional approval, even though the administration claims that they didn't have to. Nobody was told about it. This was just unilaterally acted upon by the president. And that's the problem. Not even getting and that's where the American First issue comes in. Not even getting Americans' approval of it. And not even caring to. That's an issue. It's like Iraq all over again. Although at least Bush and them, had the understanding, the intuition to sell it as hard as they could to the United States to get people on board with it. The Trump administration didn't even really try. Everything that they did, we were like, I don't know, man. That don't seem right. Not making really good arguments here for what you're doing. But it's like the Iraq playbook all over again, except for like shittier done. I know that's not a word, but you got to get these people out of power. They're making decisions that they're making are going to hurt the United States and our placement on the world stage and geopolitical discussions. For I mean, if we continue to let them do this and go on, it will take years, if not decades, for us to come back and to get back in better graces. But I guess we'll see what happens from here on out, because that's the big question now. I mean, the shit's happened. Shit hit the fan. It happened. Whether we like it or not, and now we're having to face whatever repercussions or, what happens next and the plans for that and what happens from that. And it's all a big question mark. And we're just going to have to see and talk about it when it happens, discuss it, make whatever efforts we need to make to keep pushing against the administration. Hopefully, the judicial system will continue to uphold Congress. Fuck's sakes, they need to do something. Otherwise, this could be a very, very rough year, because it doesn't look like the administration doesn't look like they are pulling back at all. Welcome to 2026. Thank you very much for joining me. And until next time, peace. If we can actually have peace. It's been ClearTalk. Later.